What's going on, Jerome's? So the drama of Dalvin Cook could be coming to a conclusion here as the June 1st deadline approaches. Now, the Vikings, if they were going to cut Dalvin Cook, could have cut him at any point and made him a post-June 1st designation. But if they're trying to trade him, get a little something, they do have to wait until June 1st. But we'll see what happens. I think that I do think that there is a chance that the Vikings and Dalvin could find a way to work things out. I think Dalvin and his agent may realize that, hey, even though a pay cut is a pay cut, it's potentially more than what he could make on the open market. I don't know if a team is willing to trade for Dalvin right now on his contract to full freight. So it may come full circle where Dalvin was traded, Dalvin was going to be cut, and now Dalvin could somehow be back here with the Vikings. So it could be a I'm not leaving situation. And then the question would be, what does that do to the dynamic of the Vikings running back room? They did re-sign Alexander Madison on a 2-year deal. They did draft DeWayne McBride. They do have King Kene and Ty Chandler. So diving on in, how would this affect things? So Vikings running back room right now. Now, first off, I don't think, even though the Vikings would be more dedicated to the run this year, hence bringing back C.J. Ham on an extension as well as re-signing Madison, plus bringing in Josh Oliver, the best blocking tight end in the game, it's clear that Kevin O'Connell wants to run the ball with authority more this season. But I don't see them burning 6 roster spots on running backs where you have 5 tailbacks, including fullback C.J. Ham. I don't see that happening. So it could be an odd man out situation where if Dalvin is gone, and then I think they do keep 4, Madison, King Kene, Ty Chandler, and DeWayne McBride. But if Dalvin returns, that really throws a wrench into what could happen here. And the Vikings could be showing a very good player at the door. Or if Dalvin comes back, say he comes back on a reduced rate, a small pay cut, as well as some incentives, doesn't matter. But Dalvin, Madison, C.J. Ham are the only locks on the roster right now, where Madison with that 2-year deal, C.J. Ham with his extension, it doesn't make sense to move on, right? So that would leave Kene and Wangu, Ty Chandler, and DeWayne McBride, all of them who they have some dead cap, but not enough where it would dissuade you from potentially moving on or trying to get one of them down on the practice squad. You do have that flexibility. And I think right now, if Dalvin came back, I do think that the odd man out could be King Kene. And we talked about where Kene's the best kick returner in the game, but they're neutering that position. And Kene, whether his time at Iowa State or his time here with the Vikings, he hasn't really gelled as a true running back. And they could see, do give credence to, hey, Kwesi drafted this guy versus Spielman drafted this guy. King Kene is a Spielman guy. Ty Chandler and DeWayne McBride are Kwesi guys. Plus, Ty Chandler does bring a more of a receiving dynamic to the running back room, so he's got that going on for him, which is nice. And DeWayne McBride is a 2-down tyrant, as well as a draft pick of Kwesi's. And trying to get one of these guys down on the practice squad, I think maybe you could get King Kene down there potentially. And you do have to get him through waivers the first time around, then you could potentially protect him. But Chandler, I don't know. Like, he showed out extremely well in preseason, had that thumb injury last year. If he does have another good preseason, could it be tough to get him down there? Possibly, especially some teams could have injuries at running back. Some teams are also super thin at the running back position. And McBride, one of the reasons why he fell to the 7th round is that he had a hamstring issue where he wasn't allowed to work out at the combine or his pro day for the most part. One of the reasons why the rushing champ, even though insane production, that's why he fell so deep into the draft, was one of the last running backs drafted. So, I mean, if McBride shows that his hamstring is healthy, shows the chops that made him, the NCAA's rushing leader last season, and a guy who put up 30 plus touchdowns over 2 years, that it could get really dicey trying to get him down on the practice squad, especially if he shows some prowess in pass protection as well as receiving, which he didn't really do a whole lot at UAB because basically the Blazers offense was just sticking the ball in 22's gut and letting him operate. So also, so that comes down to roster construction. One of these guys could be out, potentially back on the practice squad, but then it comes down to work, where I still don't think that Madison and his agent would have signed a deal so quickly, because it was relatively soon in free agency if there wasn't some wink nudge that he would be the running back one. So maybe behind the scenes, it's already a fait accompli. What's going to happen with Dalvin? Maybe they will trade him to the Dolphins for like a 6th or 7th round pick, or maybe they're just going to straight up cut him and then hope that a team picks him up so it offsets a $2 million guaranteed. But if Dalvin does return, I don't see business as usual, especially since Dalvin is a year older, and I do think that Kevin O'Connell, there's some signs, especially that the way that they approach health, like any minor injury, they treat very seriously. You look at how they dealt with injuries last year in training camp. You look how they shut down Caleb Evans after his third concussion. So they're looking at safety first and longevity. And I don't think that having Dalvin have the work of the Zimmer era would make sense. So especially as he's getting up there in age, you want to keep him fresher later in games and later in the season because he still does have that extra gear to be able to spring a big play. So I do think that it could be more of a spread out work where Dalvin, instead of getting 70-80% of the work, would drop down to 55-60%. Madison picking up a large portion of that slack, and then the rest being sprinkled among the remaining running backs. So I think that's how it could affect the dynamic, and it would be more of a partnership between 4 and 2 versus a running back 1 and then Madison as that running back 2. But like I said, Dalvin could still be gone. I mean, over these next couple days, we're going to get some more clarity as June 1st comes barreling down the line. But I think it's possible that he's traded. I think it's possible that he's cut. I think it's possible that he's back. So who really knows at this point? But it's going to be interesting because it's a good problem to have, where you have too much talent in this running back room, and you're going to have to make some tough decisions, even if Dalvin does not come back. But we'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. What happens to the Vikings running back room if Dalvin Cook stays? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Once worth of work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.